right.
Is it your recommendation? I put your recommendation in motion.
All right. Good afternoon. We will officially call this South Manvel Development Authority meeting to order here at 4:32 p.m. We have 4 of 5 members present. If you'll please join me in saying the pledges. First to the U.S. flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. I am assuming there are no public comments. And we will move on to the regular agenda. We have update from our financial advisor regarding Series 2024 tax increment contract revenue bonds. Mr. Joe is not here with us. I know that he is on his way. He's probably stuck in that lovely 288 traffic. Do we have anything that would be, rosy, or do we have anything that would be good to update us on right now? Or is it pretty much status quo until our next meeting?
I can give it a stab.
Sounds good. You got to navigate through the maze there.
It's raining pretty heavily out there now.
Yes.
On and off.
So I'm Kathleen Ellison. I've been working with Joe on this. I think everything is moving along on schedule. So I think the plan is, next Tuesday we would print what I call print. We used to print those offering documents but post it on a website. And then the underwriter will pick that up. Their sales team will be distributing it to everyone. And then I think the sale of the bonds is scheduled for the week after that. And then really that's the last meeting that you all would be involved with. And then the bond counsel will be getting the documents ready to go to the Attorney General, and then they just said they wanted to close December 11th.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, any questions for Ms. Kathleen from the board members? Okay, hearing none, we have no action to take on this item. We appreciate the update, Kathleen.
Okay,
Thank
sure.
you for being here.
I have more.
For agenda item number B, consideration and possible action to approve the agreement for auditing services with Crow LLP. I believe we have the documentation that has been provided to us. Are there any questions or comments from any of the board members relating to Crow? I know the one that I had was, I think that there was discussions about possibly, was it with this one or was it with the other one, about joining it up with the auditing services being done for council? That was for the other one?
No. Originally, the audit was scheduled to be done with the city, but because we issued a bond last year, we have to do a separate audit, and that's why now we're having to approve the engagement letter this year.
Because now there's another bond and you have to, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions from the board members?
I was able to listen to the recording. Oh, thank you. I was able to listen to the recording. This was not the first one you considered, correct? Or am I getting I listened to it this afternoon. I remember they were talking about RBC Cruise and Associates and some of the others. So how did we land on Crow, or was I listening to the portion that reflects this?
Crow is the one who does the city audit.
Okay.
So we went ahead and do it, so we don't double work. We're going to do it with the city along, but separate. The other part you might have been listening is to actually audit the developer, the actual payments that were given with the first bond.
Okay.
We went with somebody else for that part.
Okay. Okay.
And then Melody, what you were talking about with RBC, that was the underwriter for the loan.
Okay.
And who to go with.
Okay.
So that was a separate decision from the audit.
Got
We
it.
do have Joe. Welcome, Joe. Glad you made it here safe and sound. Kathleen did a phenomenal job filling in for you. So she did great.
Let's compare the two.
It's a good, yeah, it's pretty neat how with the microphones. I like it. Any other questions from the board members? Okay. Do I have a motion for this agenda item?
A motion to approve the agreement for auditing services with Crow.
We have a motion from Ms. Rosie. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Ms. Nicole. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you, everyone. Agenda item number C. This is approve the preliminary official statement for the tax increment contract revenue bond series 2024 and authorize its distribution. And we have Ms. Kathleen joining us again to present the item with more papers.
Yes.
Love it.
I added something on page 12 I wanted you guys to look at on the cybersecurity.
Thank you, ma'am. Cybersecurity, it's top of mind right now.
So I tried to give you a little advance warning of the preliminary official statement, but it's a lot to digest. Luckily, it is very similar to what we did last year. And as you know, we give a lot of risk factors for bondholders to tell them things that they should take into account before they buy the bonds. The bonds are not rated by any rating agency, so it's particularly important to give risk factors and to, make sure everybody who buys these bonds knows what they're buying. I think we're confident that these bonds are, quite secure, but there are things that could happen that would affect them, and that's what we tell the bondholders. So this is, as you know, a tax increment contract bond. It's not like a city bond. If the city issued a bond, it would be an unlimited tax bond usually. So in that case, that means a taxpayer can, or a bondholder can rely on the city to raise enough money through taxes to pay the bondholder. We, the South Manvel Development Authority, we don't have control over taxes. We rely on the city and the county to provide the revenues that we will need to pay these bonds. So that's the main difference between these, and that's why they're, a little bit more complicated than a typical city general obligation bond. And so, because of that, we go into a lot of detail about how the bondholders get paid. And the main security that they have is that there is a history of revenues coming in which exceed the amount of the debt service, which is called a coverage test. So they know that even if something happened, there is a fluff factor in all these numbers so that there's room for problems and they would still get paid. Now, then the rating agencies usually look for and Joe can correct me on this, something like 120% coverage. We're higher than that. So that means that the debt or that payment each year, that revenue should be 120% of the payment. So that gives them, gives us room if something happens, there's some blip that, we should be okay. So that's the main security for the bonds. There's also a debt service reserve fund, which means we're going to have a fund, which is funded really by an insurance policy, but we're going to have someone who commits to pay amount of money if there's a shortfall for 1 year. I mean, that would not last for the whole bond or anything, but that's another kind of security that they have. So we have on starting, well, I wanted to just give you a little bit of preview on this. On page 7, the risk factors, and that's what I'm talking about, the main things that can happen which could impact these bonds. And we're relying on the appraised value of property in the zone. So if that goes down, that's going to affect our revenues. We're not relying per se on building new houses, but of course that helps. That would help increase the appraised value in the zone. We're relying on the city and the county and they're levying a tax that will indirectly pay this. We have, other than that, let's see, we have, like the economy, that's an obvious factor. If the economy's bad, probably values will be going down and that will affect everything.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
I
sure.
interrupt. Could you move closer to the mic? I'm hearing you, but I'm working real hard.
Oh, okay, sorry, is that better? Is that any better? Is that any better? Is it on?
Is it coming through? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to talk in the mic because I thought I could talk loud enough, but.
Most people can't hear. I just struggle. So.
No, I completely understand. Yeah, no. If a hurricane comes through and blows everything down, that's going to be an issue. Yeah, some things like that are obvious. And then, we do, I think now, in this day and age, everybody is putting in this cybersecurity risk factor. I mean, it's a risk for everyone who has any electronic system, which is everyone. So you can try to mitigate it, but it's impossible to be entirely successful. So given that, it just had a problem recently that, kind of prompted us to say, hey, we better put that in here. But we did talk to Rosie this morning or this afternoon, and we don't believe it has any impact on the authority or this bond issue. So you all correct me if I'm wrong on that, really on the city in terms of any kind of material financial hit that the city would take. Like I said, these bonds are not rated, so that's a risk factor. We go into a lot of detail also on the development, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, where does that start? Yeah, on page 29, you can see all the development, how many lots have been created, how many homes there are completed. There's definitely room for increase because they have 93 homes under construction and 451 vacant lots. So all of that is, seems to be very good in terms of potential for growth in the future. Okay. And we have a lot of financial information that Joe put together based on the appraisal district and the county tax records. And we've worked on that, and we think that those are as accurate as possible given the data that we have. I know Bobby's been looking at it very carefully and coming up with some errors in here. But that... we have an opinion from bond counsel that the interest on the bonds will be tax exempt. That's always a positive when you're selling these. That's what they rely on. And this is just a full document for an investor to try to tell them anything that they might need to know. We also have an obligation, I don't know if you're involved in it directly, but we do have to update the information annually. and that is put on a website that anybody can look at. So, everybody will know each year anything that occurred, and also the audit is put on there. So what we need to do today, if this is okay, is have you approve this document and tell us that you authorize the underwriter, who is FMS Bonds, to go ahead and post it, send it to its potential investors, and then sell it at a later date, and you'll find out the interest rates that they were able to sell the bonds at. The lower, the better, obviously, for them and for us, unlike the investor who wants them higher. So that's on the table. We've got a little time between now and the posting. If anybody wants to send in a comment or look at this more closely, please feel free. There will be some changes, a few changes I anticipate, but nothing material.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions from the board members? For the cybersecurity piece, I think one important clarification would be that the city did not lose $450,000, but rather that it was stolen.
Oh, okay.
I think wording is key there. It's not like we went to Vegas and gambled
Right.
away and lost the money, but the fact that I think it was stolen is significant.
Okay.
Would there be any material impact if between now and the posting, the money is recovered as a part of the course for the criminal investigation? Does that change what's put in here, or does that
Well,
make
we
material
probably
impact?
would just, update it
Okay.
and say, update it like you said, that the money was there, the stolen money was recovered, period, or something like that. It wouldn't be a large update, but it would be, I think, something we'd want to tell people.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't see the exact, was there a city statement that was put out? Yeah. Yeah, press release. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was getting it from media, so I would like to see the official source. Thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you, Kathleen. All right, board members, do I have a motion for this agenda item? I will make a motion to approve the preliminary official statement. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Ms. Rosie. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 4-0. I'm so used to saying 7-0, so I've got to train my brain to say 4.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. The last item, consideration and possible action to approve the meeting minutes to date. Unless there's any comments, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
I just have a point of order. If you're not present at the meeting, you don't vote for the minutes of that meeting. Are you talking about the one that you had last week?
Was it last week, 2 weeks ago?
Was
2
it?
weeks ago?
Well, I was on vacation, so
Is she able to vote?
generally I thought you, even if you weren't present at the meeting, I just wasn't sure what the current.
There's nothing that disqualifies you from voting on it. You're one of the membership of the board, so.
Okay, are the minutes printed here? Because I did not, okay, because I did not read them, because in the past, we didn't, if you just give me 1 second, I'll.
Yeah,
find-
absolutely.
Okay, real quick.
It's a good question. So Joe, driving down here, did you take 288?
I did, and I even took the toll lanes.
Wow, okay, how was it for you?
Getting off of the toll lanes.
And merging.
In
Yep.
was delay.
Yeah, I avoid that at all costs.
Because it's costly.
What I'll do is don't tell anyone, this isn't like it's being recorded. I always exit Bailey. And so I take Magnolia or Bailey, essentially the same thing. And then you go underneath the highway, you take that to 1128, and then you hit a straight shot down, no stop signs, no traffic lights really at that point. So it's pretty nice.
And it's a smooth, not too much traffic.
You stop by Hando Coffee on the way, get you a coffee, look at the cows as you drive on by.
Gotta be an insider for that.
I live by the cows.
I read it.
You're good. Okay.
Good, yeah.
Okay. Ms. Nicole, can I have a motion for this agenda item?
Yes, I move to approve the minutes
All right.
for today, the meeting minutes today.
Sounds good. So we have a motion from Ms. Nicole. Do I have a second?
A second?
We have a second from the member that was absent at the last meeting, Miss Melody.
Out of the country.
And so all those in favor, raise your hands. All those
Aye.
opposed, motion passes unanimously 4-0. Well, welcome back, Melody. I hope that you and your husband had a great trip.
We did.
And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Nicole. All those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.